you have covered Deshaun Watson with the Texans. He did not. That was not what you would expect from Deshaun Watson. So, what do you think elements Kevin Stefanski maybe held back and might add as you move forward?
Yeah, I do think that more of the RPO action is something that look, that's something that the Browns haven't done. That's not something that Baker Mayfield could do, or pretty much any of the quarterbacks before him, going back to maybe Manziel, which we don't really want to talk about. He's good at that, and where he's at his best, though, is when he can throw deep off of that, and that's not something that the Browns have done a lot of the play action and going deep. And I think they're going to start working those elements in. Look, what I saw from Deshaun Sunday was a guy who clearly hadn't played football in a while. I don't necessarily think that it was like the mental aspect of the game. I think the speed of the defense, and even though the Texans' defense is not very good, and they were without their best cornerback in Derek Stingley, I think that just the game speed and the coordination that it takes to complete passes when you've got guys flying around in all different angles, I think that was a little more advanced than what Deshaun expected. Look, you just cannot replicate that in practice as hard as they try. As hard as we see them working there in Berea, you can't get that game action. It's just not the same. And I think he struggled with that a little bit. I think that will get better. I was a little concerned by how low he was throwing the ball. That is something that back in Houston was never really much of an issue. He's always been really good at throwing it where, especially if he's going over the middle, where only the receiver is going to catch it. He's not going to miss high where you're going to get the tip drill interception or anything like that. So maybe he overemphasized that Sunday. I don't know. I'm expecting a better Deshaun Watson. Look, I'm not expecting him to come out and out-duel Joe Burrow. I just don't think that's going to happen. That's not how the Browns are going to win. Not this year anyways. But, getting him to where he can, maybe push an edge or an RPO where, like we talk about all the time, Dave, having Kareem or Dearness even in the backfield with Nick Chubb, having multiple options back there that he can run a multiple option play, that's something that Houston did really well. And they didn't always have the best running backs or tight ends around him, and he found really good ways to work out of that. So I would like to see them cater a little bit more to that because, again, in Houston, look, this is the best offensive line Deshaun's ever played behind. I covered those Texans lines. They went to the playoffs one year where Ode Abushi was their best offensive lineman. So the fact that he's got time back there is probably something that's a little bit unusual for him as well. And when you're always harassed and harangued, it can take a little adjustment. Like, shouldn't I have to be fleeing here at some point? So I think there's a little bit of it's almost like uncomfortable by being comfortable, if that makes any sense.